Mark, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Your family has a history of public service. What specifically motivated you to become a leader in the greater Danbury community?
Well, let me just say, first of all, I'm a former Brookfield resident.
Oh,
I just
okay.
want to share that.
Okay.
And my father is currently a Brookfield resident, so I've got a long history with the town of Brookfield. You know, it's funny. I actually didn't want to get involved in politics in the early part of my adult life, mainly because I saw the pressures and the challenges that puts on a family. But, you know, I always kind of claim it's like The Godfather. After a while, they sort of sucked me in, and I got involved. And next thing you know, you're running for state representative, then you're running for mayor, then you're running for lieutenant governor, so who knows. But I really didn't have a master plan in what I wanted to do. I just wanted to contribute and help my community. Initially, I did that as a teacher for many years, 14 years, and then I did that as a state representative, and now obviously I'm doing that as mayor of the city of Danbury.
Well, what made you decide specifically then to get involved with the governor's race and now the race for lieutenant governor?
Well, I have to tell you, first of all, in terms of the governor's race, I want to thank Brookfield for all their support. You know, the bottom line is we felt very strongly that we had the delegates necessary to qualify for the primary. In fact, we would have walked out of the primary with about 20 to 25% of the delegates out of the convention. But we would have woken up Monday morning with about $3,500 in the bank. We just knew that wasn't going to be able to get us where we needed to be in terms of being on TV and all the things that a statewide campaign requires. So, you know, I had to look at that, and then I was approached by all the candidates to be their running mate. Tom Foley, Oz Grable, and Mike Fidelio all approached me. We had meetings, and I really had to make a decision as to who I felt most comfortable with, who sort of looks like the world the way I do, and then also who's going to take me as a full partner in governing. You know, I don't want to be like past lieutenant governors, and that's no disrespect to any of them, where some governors have sort of shoved them in the closet, other governors have gave them something to do. This mess that we're in, these challenges that we face both economically and going forward in the future in terms of budgeting, are going to require both folks working really hard. Somebody's going to have to manage the day-to-day operations of the government. Somebody else is going to have to be the big picture, spatial thinker about how to solve the problems that face Connecticut and its residents. And so Mike Fidelli really offered me that opportunity to be a full partner. So we thought it made sense to merge our campaigns. But we are blessed with 3 good candidates, and certainly I'll be honored to serve with any one of them should any one of them get elected.
And that raises an issue, which I know you addressed while you were running. Personal wealth has become an issue in campaign finance. And, you know, do you think we need campaign finance reform, or what do you know, how should we better deal with this issue?
Well, I got to tell you something. I'm sort of a fan, and I know this seems antithetical to republicanism, if you will, but I am a fan of the public financing system. You know, there are some things that we as residents in the state ought to invest in, right? There's some businesses we have no business being in, but there's other things we say, you know, we ought to invest in. I think we ought to invest in good government. And remember that in that program, we're not using taxpayer money. We're using dollars that have been kept from the sheets. Those are the bottle returns, the nickel bottle returns that you have, as well as money of bank accounts and estates that have been turned over to the state of Connecticut. So it's not hitting the taxpayers in their pocketbook, but also promotes clean elections. Look, I served in the legislature as a legislator, and I understood the influence of the lobbyists and the pressures they would put on the caucuses based on how much money they could raise for their respective political campaigns. That's all gone now. The only people that I work for are the residents of the state of Connecticut who help, hopefully, put me into office. So I'm a fan of that program. On the other side of the coin, we seem to have a plethora of rich people out there running for various federal and state offices. I would caution residents that are watching tonight to really analyze a candidate that you feel best meets your view of the world and what you think needs to be done going forward. And don't base it on whether or not they can have 10 TV ads a day or 500 mailings in your mailbox. This times that we're in require an incredible amount of talent, skill to be able to move the state forward. It's going to require the very best in us. And it's really going to be about what's in your heart, not what's in your checkbook. And at the end of the day, I think these campaigns will be won on ideas, not necessarily who can put the most ads up on TV.
Well, now you had said that Mike Fidelli was going to capitalize on some of your skills. You are one of the state's leading cities mayors. So what from that experience will you be bringing to the position of lieutenant governor? Well,
I think I bring experience. Now, experience right now in our climate sometimes has a bad word. There's sort of an anti-incumbent mood out there. So yeah, I kind of agree with that. you got to have the right kind of experience. You got to elect people that are fiscally conservative and re-elect people that are fiscally conservative. You got to elect people and re-elect people that understand how government operates. You know, a lot of business people are out there running right now, and government is not a business. It never was, it never will be. Now, you can use good business principles to help run the government, but the reality is that government is a mixture, it's a quasi-public institution with union rules and regulations, civil service rules and regulations, state statute, local ordinances, federal law, that all kind of come together to run the organization. And so to move a government quickly and efficiently really requires a skill set that I bring that nobody else on either side of the aisle has. I've been both a legislator and I've been a CEO, a chief elected official, chief executive officer of a major municipality in the state. I'll bring those skills every day to the office of Lieutenant Governor. I'll be a full partner with Mike in terms of being able to turn the state around. And I think Mike will be relying on a lot of my skills at reorganizing, bringing accountability to spending, those kinds of things that we need to do, while he has to tackle things like the budget and other economic development and some of the real big issues that are out there. So I got a feeling, based on our meetings, I'm going to be the nuts and bolts guy about, because I understand the legislative process so well and have been an efficient and effective manager at the local level. I'll also understand what our local cities and towns are facing and be a conduit and certainly an ear for them to be able to get their message heard to the very upper levels of our government.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. When you first were elected mayor of Danbury, the Republicans did not control the town committee at that point?
Well, let me just take a step back. Our common council. My first term, we had 17 Democrats and 4 Republicans. When I got reelected in 2003 by about 65% of the vote, I brought in 17 Republicans and we had 4 Democrats. So we've kept a supermajority of Republicans ever since then. Now, we've done that by a number of things. One, we've delivered efficient, effective service to our residents. They like it. 2, we've been able to do it on a very cost-effective basis. We are in the process of implementing a reevaluation right now, which is always a messy thing, but nobody ever likes it. But the net of it is our taxes are still the most competitive in the entire state of Connecticut. And you know, when I talk to residents, I say, look, show me a city or town where you can move your house to and pay less, because it doesn't exist. So we have one of the lowest effective tax rates, one of the lowest effective sewer and water rates. We're the city with the lowest unemployment rate in the state, and we have the lowest crime rate in the state and one of the lowest crime rates in the United States of America. So all those things came together, and that's why they've returned our city council time and time again back in. But yeah, we've been able to completely turn around the city.
If we get a chance, I'm going to come back to that topic again. But in the meantime, what I'd like to do more specifically, the hot issue on everybody's mind right now is growing jobs here in Connecticut. We've had a stagnant job position for almost 2 decades now. What do you see as being necessary to get us off the dime and grow our economy again?
I think we had to take a couple of steps. One of them, and one that Mike and I plan to do immediately upon taking office, is to send the message clearly to every business in Connecticut that we're open for business. We value and respect you. The way we can do that is to eliminate something called the business entity tax. It's a silly, picayune $250 tax that every small and medium-sized business and large business in Connecticut has to pay just because they're in existence. And so we want to send the message right off the bat, this is different, we're going to do things differently, we value the fact that you're here. Because if you talk to businesses, they'll tell you that the state really doesn't seem to care about them as much as we try. So that's going to be an initial step just to kind of get us off the dime. And then the second part of that will be to recognize that while we have to have a robust recruitment program, both in the U.S. and across the globe, the reality is that small and medium-sized businesses are where the biggest amount of job growth is in the state. And we want to tap into the entrepreneurial spirit of our small and medium-sized business people. We want to remove the cumbersome paperwork and burdensome bureaucracy that surrounds operating a business, reduce taxes for them to encourage more business and more hiring. We think that Connecticut can dig Connecticut's way out of this. We don't think, and we certainly don't necessarily view this fixation that some of the candidates out there have that, you know, we're going to go to Germany or we're going to go to South Carolina and recruit that big company that's going to come to Connecticut. Because the track history in that is they do come to Connecticut, they stay 6 years, they take your tax money and my tax money in some form of tax break, and then they leave. So in the meantime, you know, the local businessman, he or she doesn't get a tax break. They don't get a tax credit. And we got to change and turn around that thinking.